9.
First off, want to send all our thoughts and prayers to the people in Dauphin and their related tragedy yesterday. And it's hard to think what these poor people are going through, but at the same time, keep them in mind. So first item is the adoption of the agenda. Be it resolved that the agenda for the June 16, 2023 meeting be accepted as presented with the completion of Enbridge preventative maintenance, Adrianson approach application, RF now, path addition, and purchase of carbine blades under the order of general business and Prairie Lake culvert. So please move that. Councilor Griffith, second Councilor Jones, all in favor? Carried. Okay, confirmation of minutes. Be it resolved that the minutes of May 19, 2023 regular meeting of council be hereby approved as circulated. Please move that. Councilor Chair, seconder. Councilor McDonald, any errors or omissions? All in favor? Under finance, be it resolved that the June 6, 2023 general accounts payable being checks number 6527 to 6574 in the amount of $127,307.06 be hereby approved. Please move that. Gardner, second Councilor Hatch. Discussion? All in favor? It's resolved that direct deposit 267 being staff payroll for the period May 15 to May 26, 2023 in the amount of $14,389.68 be hereby approved. Please move that. Councilor McDonald, second Councilor Fisher. Discussion? All in favor? Be resolved that direct deposit 268 being staff payroll for the period May 29 to June 9, 2023 in the amount of $15,636.53 be hereby approved. Move that. Councilor Fisher, seconder. Councilor Jones. Discussion? All in favor? Be it resolved that direct deposit 269 being council indemnities for the month of May 2023 in the amount of $5,390.63 be hereby approved. Councilor Ash, second Councilor McGregor. Discussion? All in favor? Under the utility account, be it resolved that June 6, 2023, utility accounts payable being checks number 1009 to 1022 in the amount of $10,969.82 be hereby approved. Please move that. Councilor McDonald, seconder. Councilor Hatch, discussion? All in favor? Carried. Be resolved that the statement of revenue and expenditures report to May 31st, 2023 be received as presented. Councilor Fisher moves it, seconder. Discussion? All in favor? Bank reconciliations, be it resolved that the bank reconciliation for the month of May 2023 be approved as previously circulated. Please move that. Councilor McDonald, second Councilor Fisher. Discussion? All in favor? Great. Okay, move down to delegations.
Right, and we have Brett Fordyce with us today from Census Chartered Accountants to give council a presentation on the audited financial statements.
Okay, does everybody have a copy or to reference?
Electronic.
Okay, so I can just kind of go through, and if you guys do have it up electronically, I can tell you what page we're on kind of thing as we go. So the first page I'll stop on is the statement of responsibility. It's page number 3. So the statement of responsibility basically just outlines that these financial statements are ultimately the responsibility of council and management. They're your financial statements. We just audit them. Obviously, we work in partnership to get them materially correct. But that's basically what this page says. Your financial statements, you're responsible to provide us the information to do the audit within the standards that we have to follow. And then it also has a paragraph in there that you have the right to meet with us like you are today. So the next 2 pages after that are the audit report. So the audit report, it kind of outlines some of the things we have to do as far as looking at controls, as well as looking at the numbers. And then we report back on, deficiencies, we find the controls and make recommendations. And then the other part of it is the audit opinion. So I think as has been kind of the case in the past number of years, there's a qualified audit opinion, which is in relation to the rec commission. And the only reason for that is just a lot of the revenue that the rec commission generates is all, it's very difficult to track because a lot of it is cash and things like that. So it's just a standard notation in the audit report that basically whatever was deposited in the bank account is what the revenue is. We can't prove one way or another if there's anything missing or not because of just the nature of the income kind of thing being what it is. It's virtually impossible to know for sure. So it's something auditors put in there just to safeguard ourselves basically, but nothing alarming or out of the ordinary, just something that's standard for anybody that collects user fees and donations and fundraising. All of that stuff is, all very volunteer based and for the most part on the honor system. So it's just to kind of cover that in case there ever was any issues that arose from that. So the next page I'd go to is the balance sheet. So page 6. Just kind of run over some of the big changes year over year. So at the end of 2021, the receivables were a little bit under 300,000. At the end of 2022, they were about 675,000. So some of the bigger increases there is there's obviously the DFA claim outstanding. So that's 170,000. There's about $86,000 going back from the rec commission to the municipality. And there was also about a $75,000 Canada revitalization grant. So again, just bigger amounts outstanding at the end of the year than the previous year. Obviously, that'll get cleared up after year end. So, obviously, some of the other things, the 3/4 of the way down the page, your capital asset number. So at the end of 2021, it was about 7.6 million. End of 2022, it's 8.9 million. So about a $1.3 million increase. And that's just from obviously finishing the office, a lot of the stuff going on at the rec. Some of those big projects that were going on, fire truck, grader, wheel loader, all those kind of things, just a lot more spent this year than kind of would be normal for the municipality, I guess. The inventory was down about 25,000 from the previous year. And that was just less gravel and culverts on hand. Majority of the rest of your balance sheet items didn't change a whole lot. The long-term debt is up, which is just because the new debt you got less what was paid down on it during the year. But the most important, I guess, long-term planning tool on this page is the net financial assets number. That's about 2/3 of the way down the page. So it's about 600,000 this year, and it was 1.4 million the previous year. So what that number represents is really like your cash resources available to use in the future for future projects. So again, obviously because of the big capital projects last year, that cash decrease or that cash resources available decreased significantly, but that's normal to see when you're doing big projects like you guys are doing. So again, still a very healthy amount there to have 600,000 moving forward after doing some of the big projects you guys have done is still very encouraging. So from an overall financial perspective, staying in a very strong financial position. If we go over to the next page is the income statement. So again, I'll just kind of run through some of the changes year over year. So obviously your investment income was only about 11,000 2021 up to 33,000. We all know it's just because we're hopefully past COVID now, so interest rates recovering and things like that definitely made a difference there. Same thing with the user fees, those are up, but again, that's full years of being able to do what we're used to doing as far as programming and things like that in your recs and all of those other boards and things. So a lot of these numbers are kind of more returning to what we're used to seeing more normal prior to COVID, I guess. Your other income is up a bit this year, and that's just a result of the insurance claim for the grader. So it's kind of a one-time out of the ordinary thing there. So reason for the increase there. Provincial grant revenue is up from 274 to 354. Again, mainly because the DFA claim, not in 21, but a claim in 2022. And then the grants other is up. And again, that's mostly directly related to the rec commission and the projects going on at the rink there. So that's why the big increase there, just the funding that's kind of gone on with those capital projects. And that was offset by the decrease in the gas tax in 2022 as well. You guys everybody got the top up payment in 21, but you just go back to your normal. I guess there is no normal, that kind of change all the time. So back down to the more regular number without a top up kind of thing in 2022. So on the expense side, your transportation services was up quite a bit. But yeah, it's fairly significant increase there, but I mean, that's obviously had the greater repairs from the insurance claim, fuel prices going through the roof, as did a little bit more gravel crushing, DFA, all of those things kind of combined, and just where all the prices on everything have gone has resulted in all those price and cost increases in that department. Another one that was down this year is under your, I guess it's called industrial development area. So that's where your fiber costs have gone. You spent more on that in 2021 versus 2022. I think you spent 100 and only 50 in 2022. So that came down roughly 50,000 from the year before. And then again, like I mentioned before, the rec and culture stuff all is up. That's all your rinks and halls and things like that. Again, just due to being back to normal operations and things like that. Those expenses are expected to increase. Water and sewer stuff was up about 40 grand. And that was mainly just because you guys had some water line break issues in the past year. So just more of that type of repair work than there was in the previous year. So just displaying some of the significant differences there. From there, we can skip ahead quite a few pages. A bunch of the pages in between are just really accounting notes that aren't going to really matter to anybody. So from there, we can skip ahead to page 15 or note 8. It's the long-term debt note. So just kind of outlines on here what there is for municipal debt. So at the end of 2022, 1.175 million in debt versus just over $1 million at the end of 21. So obviously you got 2 new loans during 2022, offset by obviously what you repaid. So of that 1.1 million over the next 5 years, it's projected to pay off about half of it. So about 650,000 of that will be paid off. And obviously the completely would be all paid in full by December of 2031, pending future debentures and debt, I guess. But the other thing on that page is we did note just the commitment about buying the location for the new public workshop here in town. So just we have anything you committed to during the year or subsequent to year end that will impact future financials. So just talks about what you've committed to pay, how you're going to pay over a few years, and then the deposit you had paid as of the end of the year. So, yeah. Okay.
On the long-term debt, the second one, it says maturing December 2014, which is 2024.
Oh, yeah. Can make that change for sure. Pages. If we go ahead to page 17, note 13 is the accumulated surplus. So accumulated surplus represents all of the surpluses of the municipality, like annual surpluses of the municipality since the municipality started. And it just kind of breaks down. So at the end of the year, there's $9.7 million of accumulated surplus for the municipality and the consolidated entities as a whole. Of that, 1.2 million of it is from your entities. So most of that is going to be from the rec and the assets they hold, the capital assets that are now in that rec. And then the municipality has about 6.8 million of capital assets. So the vast majority of your surplus is, sunk into capital assets that you can't really sell. You kind of need them all for what you're doing. So, but on top of that, there is just over 825,000 in reserves at the end of 2022. The general operating fund has about an $800,000 accumulated surplus. And then the utility fund is only at about 18,000, which is still relatively good considering most utilities oftentimes are in a deficit position. So encouraging to see a utility that's not in a deficit position.
We had an increase this year. That it cost through us.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of an ongoing struggle for all municipalities with their water or their utilities is kind of get a water rate study or public utility rate increase, and then you just about almost have to start the next one because of cost changes and things like that. So, and it's getting harder and harder because water is so expensive, and you know, you don't have a huge users to spread those costs over. So it's definitely becoming a challenge for any smaller utilities that we see across a lot of the places we audit. So if we can go ahead to page 20, note number 18. So this is a note that's specifically requested by the Public Utility Board, and this is used mainly just in the annual surplus calculations for the utilities as well as rate studies. So what this note represents is when you do a utility project and you get a provincial or a federal grant, they don't recognize that as revenue the year you get it. They defer it and recognize it over a number of years. So for example, if you do something, you know, do a new water line, you amortize it over 40 years, for example, what they'll do is whatever portion that is a grant from them, they take 1/40 of that, 1/40th of that and apply it to income each year. And the idea behind that is to help you even out the water rates. So if you put all of the revenue into, like all the grant into revenue in 1 year, looks like you have a big surplus 1 year, but then you're gonna have a deficit for the next 39 years. So they kind of level it off to match the depreciation of the asset versus that grant. And again, it's just to try and allow municipalities to keep their rates. I mean, they're obviously gonna always go up, but not huge spikes and valleys, hopefully, kind of thing. So what this represents is just the amounts that can still be added into the utility board income calculation over the years. So the one line that just says amortization during the year. So when we look at the utility schedule in a few minutes here, I can show you how the calculation works, but basically there's 64,000, no, not 64,000, 56,000, sorry, that gets added into income. Then that isn't technically on these financial statements. It's a calculation done separately by the Public Utility Board. The next page, page 21, is a breakdown of all the capital assets. So like I was saying before, in total, there's 8.9 million invested in capital assets. This provides a breakdown of where that 8.9 million is allocated between land, buildings, equipment, what you spent on roads, water and sewer, those kind of things. So just a breakdown of that. The next number of pages are, you know, 5 or 6 different ways the revenues and expenses are broken down. So I think we kind of went over the big changes already, so I'll skip over them. I think we need to talk about the same changes 100 times. We can go to page 28 or schedule 5. Again, this is another breakdown of the revenues and expenses, but this one people are usually interested in. So the columns on this spreadsheet represent, or this page represent, core government represents the municipalities numbers. That's just you guys on your own without any of the entities factored in. The second 2 columns that are blank there, that's controlled entities. That would be if you had organizations that are consolidated and that you own 100% of. And the government partnerships ones are ones you share with other municipalities. So that's their revenues and expenses for the year. So it kind of just splits up of the total shown on the income statement we looked at before. What's the municipality? What's the factor? You know, what's the input from the organizations as well? So there's that. The next few pages after that are all your, or 2 pages after that are the reserve funds. So it just shows reserve by reserve, the transactions for the year, what the reserve opened at, what they ended at, what interest was earned, ins and outs as far as transfers, things like that. So like I mentioned before, about 825,000 in reserves at the end of 2022. Obviously there was more than that at the beginning of the year. There was just about 1.3 million, but this was some of the capital expenditures and projects that had, there was significant amounts transferred out during the year, but again, still pretty healthy amounts to use moving forward in future projects. From here, we can go ahead to page 34 or schedule 9. So there's 2 pages to this one, but this is the income statement for the utility. So like I mentioned before, the utility is showing from an accounting perspective, $121,000 deficit. And that's where I talked about before, you have your own calculation. So that 57,000 in amortization of those deferred grants helps in that regard. So there's that 121 is your starting point, but then you've got this 56 coming out. So the deficit that pub would look at is only 64,000, not the 121 that's presented on here. So again, it's just, that's why that other note is in there, so they can kind of figure it out and for you guys to be able to make your deficit applications to pub. And there, I guess we can skip ahead right to the last page of the financial statements. This last page, I think, is the page that intergovernmental affairs will look at. It's kind of the only page they look at, I think. So the way this page works basically is the bottom line of it is the accounting surplus or deficit from the way we prepare the financial statements. And then the way the province looks at it and makes you, looks at deficits and those kind of things is the top line of this page. So the whole page kind of works in reverse as we start from our accounting surplus or deficit and we'll work back to the municipal act surplus or deficit, which is what we said, like the intergovernmental affairs will look at as far as deficits and things like that to discuss. So this year in the general fund, there was about $159,000 deficit. So there will be, whenever these are submitted with intergovernmental affairs, at some point they'll reach out to you on what the plan is. I think you guys have maybe kind of already started talking about that from reading the minutes and stuff like that. So, but at some point, you obviously just have to let them know what your plan is on how you're going to cover that, whether that's through reserves, accumulated surplus, worst case taxation. I don't think anybody wants to do that if they don't have to. So, but those are kind of your options on how to cover it moving forward. That's kind of it for the financials. I do have a couple things that we found as far as process controls, but I can go over that after if anybody has any questions. Yeah, we did. Fire away.
Okay. Schedule 5, the government partnerships, and making an assumption, but just want to confirm, is that Bishop Rec and the handyman?
Yes, sorry, I should have. Yes, I should have pointed that out. There is a note in here, backstory on page 10 that does say, yeah, it's the Service River Rec and the handy transit. So you guys are putting in 2/3 of the rec and 1/3 of the handy transit. So yeah, that's what those numbers are, is just those two organizations.
So I guess we can just go over again, Brett, the financial position of the municipality as your view that.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, it's definitely, gone down from the previous year because of the big capital projects you've done. But I mean, that's normal when you're taking on big capital projects. Those amounts go into locked in the long-term capital assets. And that comes out of your, obviously, cash and reserves available to use in the future. So like I said, there is a decline in that amount from the previous year, but you're still sitting at about $600,000 to use moving forward. So it's still a pretty healthy amount moving forward, considering what, big projects you guys have just completed kind of thing. So still
Between that
very positive.
and the reserves, I guess.
Yep, yeah, exactly. So.
Move on to the other.
Okay, so there's just a couple little things that I think probably have already been brought to the staff's attention already. The first one was just with inventory counts being done. There was no issues with them being done and the listings prepared. The only issue is the original count sheets that were done by the people doing the counts were not kept. And for us, that's what we need to see to ensure what the person doing the count and what the admin staff have done as far as creating the listing all ties together kind of thing. So it's just a reminder to keep those original count sheets, whether they're handwritten chicken scratch pieces of paper, or which I'm probably sure is what they are to start with. So it's just so we can follow it all the way from start to finish during the audit process. And then the other one, I guess, is actually for you guys. Just when some of your indemnity claims are being submitted, they're not always being signed individually by you guys. So from an audit perspective, we need to see the person submitting the expense is signed off and agrees with what they're submitting. then also you guys obviously have the second sign off with, someone else approving that expenditure. And like we just saw in the minutes here, now you guys approved all those payments and stuff. So that's great. It's just, some of the ones we tested, we didn't see the counselor that was making the expense claim actually signing off on them. So it's hard for us to know it's authentic from them individually. Again, it's just because we're looking at stuff, 6, 8, 10 months after the fact kind of thing. So it's hard to know.
I do know that in some situations, the amount that's being claimed is what's on the bylaw.
Yeah,
So they sometimes just send it electronically and don't bother doing anything further with it.
yeah, no, and that's fine. And like I said, like these are just things where we've seen things go wrong other places. So they're just, this is what we've seen. Here's our recommendation.
That's a good point.
You guys are open to do whatever you want with our recommendations kind of thing. So it's your guys' discretion if you want to, follow through with our recommendations, or if you're comfortable with the process you have in place, that's perfectly fine too. It's just, the auditing standards we have to follow. We have to disclose the things we find to you guys. Just,
Okay.
I mean, really to cover our butts too, in case
Yeah.
anything ever happens, so.
You had concerns about the Surfer Rec and the donations and like, how does anybody else do it?
No, and it's just a standard thing. It's not necessarily a concern. It's just, again, it's a safeguard for auditors, saying that because of the nature of those revenues, a lot of situations you wouldn't know if money went missing. So we're safeguarding ourselves, saying just because there's no way, because there's so much cash dealt with, there's no way to know. It's really, again, another thing, auditors protecting ourselves from backlash from our clients, being like, wow, you should have known they were stealing. I'm not saying that's happening, but in those situations where there has been issues with fraud and things like that in other places we've dealt with, they tried to come back at auditors historically and be like, well, why didn't you find it? Well, technically in our auditing requirements, we're not required to find fraud. But people are trying to hide fraud. So that's really all it is. It's not saying you guys are doing anything wrong. It's something that's standard for basically any commission or any organization that collects a significant amount of cash.
One thing that we've done to help mitigate that risk is now we are accepting e-transfers.
Right.
So there's less cash and there's an audit trail. with this.
Yeah,
we're
and then-
working on a process so that it's not one person.
Okay.
Zero control.
Yeah, and then I guess with your e-transfers, are they auto deposit?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's the other concern with that. E-transfers is lots of people set them up initially just to come to an email, but when they go to an email, they can technically deposit it anywhere. So if they're auto deposit, then
That's the
that's it.
recommendation from the bank. when you
Yeah,
send it.
yeah, their banks are usually pretty good with that too. They're pretty good with that for any not-for-profit or public organization that they recommend that, just because it's public money. Have that safeguard for everybody's peace of mind, really, so.
Any further, Councilors?
I have a question on the inventory. Do you want an ongoing records of this, or is?
No, yeah, all we look at your end. So just whenever your public works guys do the count at the end of the year, I'm sure they write down, this culvert's, okay, whoever does it, yeah. Just, the number of whatever type of culvert you have, and we just want that piece of paper to see, like whoever does up the actual Excel listing or whatever that we.
It's the same person.
So Tyler, it's all you, okay. So as long as you make it all flow through, we just want to see that original to the final.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure if it's ongoing.
Yeah, no, during that's up to you if you want to keep track of it during the year, but for us as an auditor, we only look at the annual. So that's all we would be looking for.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, so Chelsea's addressed, I think, what part of my question, but my question was going to be, can we put some things in place to look after these two findings? It seems like it would be pretty simple to just look after them.
I believe this was the first year where we didn't have the actual paper trail for the inventory. Am I correct on that?
It was an issue last year.
Okay. So, yes.
And as far as Councilor signing their indemnities, that's just something that we'll have to adopt.
Yeah, whether it's a case of every time there's an indemnity that comes in, we leave it sitting in the basket to put out at the council table to ensure.
I like that. Like, sometimes I'm not available, so So leave it there until I get here.
And I mean, we totally understand sending them digitally is convenient for sure and easier. It's just, yeah, we've seen, because our world is so digital now, things can get missed in the approval processes. It's like, oh, we got it this way, so.
But rightfully, wrongfully, like, it just, like,
Yeah.
you're never going to solve every little.
No, exactly. I mean, there's so many things going on a day-to-day basis, so it's just, I mean, honestly, for us to only find two things is really good, so. There's definitely some municipalities we have much longer lists with, so I would say it's pretty encouraging to only have a couple things on there for sure.
But since we've gone to a digital age, it's cluttered everything. Like, it really hasn't. So, yeah, it's
Oh,
made
yeah, well,
a mess. Yeah, well, you should have 2 pieces of paper, not 50.
yeah, well, I wish our financial statements didn't have to be 50 pages too.
All right, I guess that's everything, Brett. Thank you very
Okay.
much for.
No, thank you.
Okay, so I'll make this change before the finals come out, but
Signing copies.
yeah, once we get everything signed, then we can issue the finals and everything else. All right,
Thank you. Done within the requirements of the provincial government. That's a good thing.
so yeah, after we get the approvals, it'll be out within the week kind of thing probably.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well,
Thank
everybody,
you.
have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Where's your jacket?
That is my, you don't want.
What size is
I take it. Walk around with it, it'll be good advertising.
Until they ask me to do the books.
Yeah, well, you can refer them.
Okay, be it resolved that the presentation by Brett Fordyce from Census Partnership with Chartered Accountants regarding the 2022 audited financial statement be received. Please move that. Councilor McCollum, seconder. Councilor Hatch. All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the audited financial statements be approved and the municipality take full responsibility for the financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2022. Please move that. Councilor Fisher, seconder. Councilor Jones. All in favor? Okay, so that document will now be made available to the public. This has been approved. Okay, moving on to public hearings. Be it resolved that the regular meeting of council will be recessed to allow council to hold public hearings to receive representations from any person who wishes to make them in respect to a conditional use application and a variation application. First one is public hearing on conditional use application C123.
But if I could get a mover in a second,
Oh,
to
okay.
resolve into public hearing.
Public hearing, moved by Councilor Jones, seconder. Councilor McGregor, all in favor? Okay. So public hearing on conditional use application C1-23 to allow a secondary suite to the principal dwelling in the agricultural general zone on lot 5, plan 2179, located on the southeast quarter, 15/8/19 WTM, Reger, OBO, Beamish.
Okay, so basically what I can tell you is there has been no communications from anyone with respect to this public hearing. What they are wanting to do is to be able to build a secondary suite on their principal lot in accordance with what the highway is wanting. The principal or the secondary suite would have to be to the west of the dwelling so that it's not coming off the highway, but will come off the municipal road. If there's anyone in attendance who would like to address council on this application, they're welcome to come forward. And there is no one.
Okay. Any questions, Councilor?
Mr. Chairman, is this on a PR road then, or is it records the location? It's not, like, it's not the way to get or anything, it's,
No, it's right off of Highway 10.
oh, okay.
It's right where the Hutterites just built a school / church,
Mennonites.
Mennonites.
Careful how you say that.
Okay.
Okay, that's good, thank you.
Okay, whereas all representatives in regard to conditional use application number C1/23 to allow a secondary suite to the principal dwelling on an agricultural general zone located in lot 5, plat 2179, located in southeast quarter 15819 WPM. Region OBO Beamish have been dealt with. Therefore, be it resolved, public hearing be concluded. Please move that. Councilor Gregor, seconder. Councilor Fisher, all in favor?
Your worship, if I could note that with the approval of the conditional use, I will now, within the authority of the development officer, is to approve the minor increase in the secondary dwelling suite size. That falls within the 15% that is delegated under the act to the development officer.
So you'll.
Okay, so the second public hearing is related to the reduction of a side yard for the construction of a sunroom. This is on lot 1, plan 2091, 204 Commercial Street in Wawanesa. This is for the Whippoorwill Housing Incorporated. 2 members of council have removed themselves from the council table, but are able to be in the audience in the event that there are any questions or they have any comments that they would like to make with respect to it. I have had one inquiry from an individual who resides on the opposite side of the property. It wasn't dealing with the reduction for the sunroom. It had questions regarding the ground level deck that was being built. And so he gave an indication that he had no concerns on the sunroom side. And pictures have been provided to council to give you an idea of where the sunroom would be located in relation to where there would be any sightline concerns or anything with the stop sign. And there has been nobody who has made any comment or concern to the office, but again, I would invite anybody from the audience to come forward at this time if they would like to make representation. Mr. Acting Deputy Mayor, there is no one.
Okay. Whereas all representatives in regard to the variation application number V2/23 to reduce the minimum required side yard from 12 feet to 0 to allow for the construction of a sunroom in an RG residential general zone on lot 5, plan 2179, located at 204 Commercial Street, Wawanesa. Kirkowitz, OBO Whippoorwill Housing Inc. have been dealt with.
Therefore be it resolved.
Therefore, it be resolved that the public hearing will be concluded and council will resume its normal order of business.
Is the remover.
And take a mover, Councillor Fisher, and seconder, Councillor Jones.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Carried.
Carried.
We'll move on to communications.
We will move on to communications. So under the order of communications, we have the age-friendly Manitoba newsletter for June of 2023. The Association of Manitoba Municipalities has provided several correspondence, 2 dated May the 12th, 1 May the 17th, May the 23rd, June the 2nd, and June the 6th. Canadian Agriculture Partnership has provided information on wild pigs, and they had given an indication that the council would like them to come forward at all as a delegation. They would be more than happy to do so. The Canadian Pacific Kansas City South Railway gave us crossing activity notification. Cypress Planning District provided amendments to their development plan. Federation of Canadian Municipalities have provided communiques dated May 15th, the 23rd, the 29th, June the 5th. There was also information from candidate Martin Plett to let his name stand for the board for FCM. The Minister of Municipal Relations provided information on the second payment of the municipal operating grant. The Municipality of Deloraine Winchester provided information on the 31st annual municipal golf tournament. Public Utilities Board provided their Volume 2 newsletter. RCMP 150 and PR 911 gave information on their golf tournament. PRM of Sifton has sent information to the municipality regarding amendments to their zoning bylaw. And STARS have sent a thank you letter for the donation made by council.
Be it resolved that the above noted communications be received. McDonald, any discussion? All in favor? Go to committee reports. Councillor Fisher, you have a written report. Anything to add to it?
I've just driven a whole bunch more roads, both sides of number 10 highway. And they're working at it. It's a work in progress. So
Dr. Jones, you have no anything? Okay. Councillor Hatch, you have a written report.
Nothing more to add.
Councillor McDonald, you have a written report. Anything to add?
Nothing else.
Councillor McGregor, you have a written report. Anything to add to it?
No, nothing more to add.
I have a written report, so please put it to the minutes. Nothing to add to it. CAO's report.
I would like to add that we have received written resignation from Councillor Turi. In accordance with the municipal act, that resignation takes effect on the day that I received it. So it was effective as of yesterday morning. And I have included a potential resolution for council to consider. And that would be that a by-election be held for the position of councillor in Ward 2 in November of 2023. I can speak to the reasoning for that proposed date.
If you would.
I certainly would. So it typically takes about 3 months in order to hold a by-election, in order to meet all of the required public notice timelines, etc. That would put us in the middle of September, which is harvest time, so probably not the best time to be attempting to do it. If we were looking at doing it in October, that hits our staff's really busy time with taxes, and it would mean that nomination period would hit while I am out of the country. And so if we do it November, the date that I was looking at would be November the 9th. That would have the nomination period starting at the end of September and running into the first week of October. So again, it would clear the harvest time, and it also would have the least amount of impact probably in our office.
You want to put a resolution on for later?
Or
Put it now.
I would say if we put it there now, make additional information.
So be it resolved that a by-election be held for the position of councillor in Ward 2 on November 9th, 2023. Can you please move that? Councillor McDonald, seconder. Oh, Councillor Fisher, I'm sorry, Jones. All in favor?
Sorry, can we do discussion?
Okay, you want to have discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'm a little bit, I understand the reasoning, but I also think it's important to get this replaced as soon as possible. So I just thought we should at least discuss the impact of, I realize harvest is a bad time too, but
Yeah, I guess what
leaving this vacant for longer than we need to isn't a great option either.
if we work it for, what's it, as soon as it could be?
You'd be looking the end of August. I'm going to tell you from a senior election official's perspective, we are always advised not to do anything July and August. There is the perception when you do that you are not including everybody who would be available to vote simply because they are away on family vacations. If you wanted to do it in September, I would have to do some backtracking of times. I think I need a minimum, I think it's 48 days is the very least that I can do it to meet the notification timelines. So council would like me to take a look and propose dates at the July meeting. I could work back a couple of dates either in October and lay out your options, one of which would be to hire someone else as the SEO, or to do it in September and if I do it in September, I think nominations would hit kind of the end of August and into September. So trying not to have the nomination period when people might be away on family vacations, but I could certainly look at doing that.
Yeah, I guess, and there's no good time. I mean, obviously, I agree that we should do that as soon as possible, but I'm really concerned for this. It's North Ward, there's farming, there's all kinds of factors involved there that people should be given opportunity to be involved as much as possible. If you have people there, one or two or maybe more submissions to run in that ward, then they're going to be doing their canvassing during harvest season or personal vacation time. I don't know if that's fair, but I guess that's
Yeah,
council.
it's definitely council's decision to make.
They're both bad options. I think
Yeah.
it's just worth discussing. It's just the least bad option.
I don't think we want to go past November because I think then you're getting into budget time and budget discussions would start in December meeting and be important to that. Mr. Fisher.
Another concern I have is no polling station in the ward. So,
There should be by that point.
good, that new school or,
That's what I'm hoping for. I haven't reached out to them yet, but it looks as if construction would be complete.
okay. So it has been a concern the last couple of elections or whatever, so. Sure. And I think that has to be addressed, so.
What timing you think is preferable?
Well, I don't think there is a good time. I am looking at that ward is the most populated one in our area, and there is a lot of acreage owners. And if it's a priority of farmers, they will vote. So it's my honest opinion, they will come if it's a priority, so. And like, what, 80% of the people that are in that ward are just acreage owners. At least 80%.
And everybody has the option to vote by ahead,
Yeah, they can vote ahead,
so that.
Or mail in.
well, mail in or advance polls. So,
Just one clarification I'll make. You talked about being as most population there, that those wards were split up evenly. Each ward has the same population.
okay,
So
So
they're all equal.
Similar.
So there's no increase there.
but it's still primarily acreage owners.
That's true. It's primarily acreage and
I would like to expedite the process, so. I think you're throwing a person under the bus if he joins council and then all of a sudden he's going to be like a newly elected councillor that has to look at budgets. First meeting he comes to and it just.
We had to do that.
Well, we had to, but we set ourselves up for it, right? It's just that we realized that we had to do that.
Yeah.
So, and I know it's unfair the way, should have the damn elections in April, like, or whatever, but it just, I would like to expedite the process.
still at the budget.
Yeah, I know.
Does somebody want to amend that?
Or just defeat this and
Or
put
defeat
forward
start
a
over again.
month that
If
you would like it to be
Yeah.
held in, and I'll work backwards from that.
I'd much rather have an amendment.
But like you can come early in the morning or whatever and vote. So it's before combines are rolling or whatever. So
We've got to have the by-election, so it doesn't matter.
yeah, we have
It's a
to.
matter of date. That's the only thing that's a question here.
Okay, I can move an amendment to, that would change the word November to September.
Okay, so,
And you leave it to me to try and work where it would fit in.
For when you're gonna be around, like, it works for a date.
well, you're not going yet. First.
And I'm gone September 15th.
I'll have it before that.
Okay, so what
Okay,
is the council rec-
who's the mover and seconder on that?
So we have got Councilor McGregor. Got an second, Councilor Fisher.
Okay. the amendment takes priority on that.
Amendment will take priority.
So any further discussion on that? Right, all in favor of the amended resolution?
No, because, well, the above motion will now be in place with the wording that the resolution be held in September 2023. So we can have a vote on that.
That's what we did.
You voted on amending.
Amending the, okay, so they have to do the original resolution as being September 2023. Okay. It's got a mover and a second.
It's got a mover and a second already.
All in favor? Very good. Okay. All right, so we're staying along with the committee reports, finance officer report, do you have anything to add?
Just a couple things. We did receive that second payment from the municipal operating budget.
Oh, okay. Good.
And expecting the third one in September. And one other thing, Chelsea and I went on a tour of several of the municipal buildings that are represented from Western Financial, a risk management advisor. That hasn't been done for over 20 years, according to him. So we'll be getting a report with what he has to say
For council.
for council.
Public Works, Public Works Manager, you have your report, anything to add?
Yeah, a couple of things. Rayfair has suggested that we hold off on mowing the ditches to eliminate the grasshoppers moving into the crops.
So they're saying that if we mow the ditch where the two grasshoppers are on the ground.
We'll move into the
crops. Is that throughout the municipality?
No, no, like, up where we are, we're having.
Certain areas?
Yeah.
Running over us.
What I suggest is if they have a lot where they are, bypass certain ones, but I'm not stopping all of it.
Can't.
Just because the weed control,
Do you have a map that you're gonna be working off of then?
I will have to, yeah. Yeah, because Bruce will have to have a map on which ones not to do. But certainly we would do it the second round.
When do you, when do you plan on starting your?
Bruce usually starts the third week in June, under the grass is very high right now. So I think he's in Alberta right now, so when he gets back, he said he was gonna start.
The big thing is you're mowing on the side of the road. You're not mowing the side of the field. So I'm a little questionable as to this request, so. And there's still lots to munch on in the ditch, so,
Those fields are pretty close to the road. though.
Yeah.
well, some fields, but it's more dirt tracks and things.
We're using our mowing as part of our weed control.
Yeah, that's true.
So we have to, we can't hesitate. We gotta keep going.
Yeah, but you know where the ones that are involved here.
There's one in particular.
Yeah, and that's the only one that's requested.
Yeah.
So we're just leaving it those.
I would suggest just leave his, mow the rest.
The other thing council could suggest to the administration is that we put it out onto our social media page so that if anybody else recognizes that they've got grasshopper infestation and would like us to hold off for this round of mowing, you let us know.
I think that would be a good.
Better give them a date then to notify by.
Yeah, or they would have to notify us immediately because mowing is intended to get started immediately, so.
And the other thing that I had was the red tip board. That we wanted to purchase. So
That shows up on
Shows
the,
up as an
that's
agenda,
on the
I think now.
Okay. Oh, and the culvert on the boundary line, 36 north of the 18 highway. There was a call about it this morning, so we share that boundary. Prairie Lakes is responsible for it.
For grading.
Yeah, and so there was a beaver down there, it pushed the culvert right up into the road. It's an expensive culvert, and they want to know if we will half the price of the cost of the culvert or installation, so.
Yeah, those boundary roads we share back and forth with those different municipalities as far as maintaining roads.
Yeah, we have just a verbal agreement on which ones we do, which ones they do.
That's what they do.
But I don't think we can shirk our responsibility. It's a shared boundary, so
So,
Some of them we snowplow and some of them will just grade, so
yeah, but it's been over the years, it's been more of a handshake that was done a lot of times. We're trying to get those that done into a wording.
Yeah, actual formal agreement.
Wasn't there some agreements made on some, or we talked about it before once, eh?
I don't know if they all got in there, but I know that there was some discussion to get them formalized.
Yeah, we were starting work with Cornwallis at the time that they went through their mass change up there, so that hasn't been a priority for the new CAO to get on right now, but it is on his plate.
Do you want a resolution for this?
It's added to the agenda under general business, so we can discuss it there. Yes, that was the Prairie Lakes edition.
We'll vote under that part as far as getting the resolution.
Yeah.
But it's a shared road, so I mean, it's would make sense.
But it's their side that left it.
Sure. Anything further? Okay, fire chief's report. Okay, so there is it resolved that the verbal and written reports be received. Somebody please move that. Councillor Jones, seconder, Councillor Fisher, all in favor? Okay. We're going to unfinished business. I think we're going to move our seconder on that before we discuss.
We could do that.
Be resolved that the correspondence received from Candace Tramley dated May 23rd, 2023, related to variation and conditional use application be received, and the owner representative will be advised of the options available as permitted for conditional use under the current zoning bylaw. Councillor Knapp, second, Councillor McGregor. Discussion. So basically what he's saying is that we have a legal obligation to, if somebody wants to come and do a variation or a zoning, a conditional use, they're obligated to hear it, whether they've done it before or not, they pay their fee. You want to maybe clarify all that?
That is correct. There can be any number of applications that can come forward. It is up to the applicant whether or not they want to chance putting forward the same application that has been refused, whether they want to change an application, whether they want to do something different with the property rather than a residential building. There are options under the permitted use for recreational activities. So those applications can still come forward. They have to be considered on their merits at the time. And that's about all Mr. Tramley could tell us. There is no time limit on variations or conditional uses coming back. There is with other applications under the zoning bylaw, so subdivisions and zoning amendments. There is a time delay before you could put forward a second application. That is not the case with variations or conditional uses. The reason that I had originally included in the parentheses about advising the owner and the representative of the options, that is because Mr. Melnick has asked for an opportunity to appear before council and find out what his options are. Since that time, we have also had a request from another resident who would like to come forward as a delegation to provide an update on the Lake Clemente. Now, this particular application that was dealt with is closed and there is no application currently on the table. So how council wants to proceed is certainly up to them.
All in favor of the resolution? Okay, be it resolved that Tanis Brassel be appointed as a member at large to the Glenboro South Cypress Oakland-Wawanesa Handyman Committee with term to the office to expire on December 31st, 2023, unless otherwise noted. Please move that. Councilor McDonald, second Councilor Fisher. Discussion. All in favor? Okay, so under general business, we have the conditional use application, C1/23 to allow secondary suite to the principal dwelling on the agricultural general zone on lot 5, plan 217 land located on southeast quarter, 15/8/19 WPM 30BO Beamish. Be it resolved that the conditional use application number C1/23 to allow a secondary suite to a principal dwelling in an agricultural general zone on lot 5, plan 12179, located on the southeast quarter, 15/8/19 WPM 30BO Beamish, be approved without conditions. Somebody move that? Councilor McDonald, seconder, Councilor Jones, discussion? All in favor?
Okay, next one is the variation application.
Want me to read the first part of the second?
Just the resolution is going fine.
Be it resolved that the variation application V2/23 to reduce the minimum required side yard from 12 to 0 to allow construction of a sunroom in an RG residential general zone on lot 1, plan 2091, being 204 Commercial Street, Wawanesa, Krekovich, on behalf of Woodruff Well Housing Inc., be approved without conditions. Discussion?
Hoover,
Mover. Counselor Fisher, seconder. Counselor Jones.
What is the variance from, like, in town, from the center of the road to the property line?
so the municipal boundary
Yeah.
is, I don't know if you've got a picture handy.
Yeah, I did have it.
So where the municipal boundary is, there is still a strip of grass between where the property line ends and where the road is. And the building is substantially far back. And the use on the other side is the road that goes to the highways yard. So there isn't another property that's affected to the west-hand side. So I think if you note on this picture, Councillor Jones,
And on the east side's our shop that we bought from Perry.
yeah. So where they're proposing it to come out to, I think they've got marked with a flag, and there's still a strip of grass
Yeah.
before you get to the municipal road.
What about, like, are they gonna wanna do this on the opposite unit as well?
They don't have the opportunity to do it on the opposite, on the east side, because the east interior side yard doesn't have enough space from where the building's put. So on the east yard, what is being proposed by the people who have taken over those is to have a ground deck patio, and that they can do without having to do a variation, so long as they only go 50% of the required interior side yard.
So this is Hermes?
This one is, this is Campbell's.
What was asking, was,
The front is
do you know from our municipal boundary to where the deck's gonna be, what the setback distance is?
If they build here, this takes them to their property line, so the distance then between there and our municipal road. Our municipal road boundaries, I believe, are 66 feet, does that sound right?
So 33
So
feet from the center.
33 feet from the center.
Like the one on this, the one on this side, the east side that we're talking about really doesn't affect visibility or anything, because it's, like Joey said, it's a grass run there. But if they were doing it on the opposite side of the building, on the east side, like, there's hardly enough room to the property line, and it'd be a total different ballgame if it was on the east side of the, or west side of the building we were trying to do this, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would definitely have a problem if it wasn't that much space after the fact.
Basically, it's green space plus the road. So
So Tony, you're talking a ground deck, is that a ground deck on the ground or up? Or what the kind of door?
It is to be, in order to be considered a ground deck, I think it's gotta be 8 inches.
Okay,
No more than
that's,
8
we're getting off
inches.
topic.
Yeah, that's on the other side.
No, that's good thinking.
Oh, yeah, I see that state in the picture.
So yeah, there is still a greenway before you get to the road.
And what would, Public Works be, like, how much you guys cut in town?
Depends, if they are not taking care of it themselves, I would cut down that road on the edge there.
Yeah.
Right now, it's kind of under construction, so my main concern was snow clearing, but if it's 33 feet from the center of the road.
Yeah.
That what you're saying, yeah, it's
And usually most of the time highways plow the one out.
fine.
Yeah.
Same thing as with their
Yeah.
triplex more, they mow it as a, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter who's plowing it at that point, as long as it can be plowed.
And it was always mowed by Herman before it was put there, so. Never done it, my opinion, so.
The highways were circulated with the information and we received no correspondence back from them.
Okay, perfect.
So is that all, no more questions? All in favor? Against?
Maybe I'll ask the members to come back inside.
Okay, whereas information has been received from Next Gen Drainage Solutions on behalf of Jackson Elder Family Farm Limited with respect to a proposed tile drainage project located between section 16 and 17-8, 17 west. Whereas a request has been made for a cut through road 100 west, and whereas no concern has been expressed by the Public Works Manager, therefore be it resolved that the request for tile drainage permission and consent from Next Gen Drainage Solutions on behalf of Jackson Elder Family Farm Limited to supply and install tile drainage between section 16 and 17, 8, 17 west, be approved subject to the road being returned to its original state following installation, including the city of Brandon specification for road work, with all the work to be completed in consultation with the Public Works Manager. Please move that. Councilor Jones, second Councilor Hash. Discussion. All in favor? Okay, whereas information has been received from Next Gen Drainage Solutions on behalf of Jackson Elder Family Farm Limited with respect to a proposed tile drainage project located between section 15 and 16-8, 17 west. And whereas a request has been made for a cut through road 99 west, and whereas no concerns have been expressed by the Public Works Manager, therefore be it resolved that the request for tile drainage permission and consent from Next Gen Drainage Solutions on behalf of Jackson Elder Family Farm Limited to supply and install tile drainage between section 15 and 16, 8 west W be approved, subject to being returned to its original state following installation, including City of Brandon specifications for road work, with all work to be completed in consultation with the Public Works Manager. Please move that. Councilor Fisher, second Councilor Jones. Discussion. All in favor? Be it resolved that request to close 4th Street from Lucy's Flower Shop, 112 4th Street, south to the end of the street for entertainment and beer gardens on Saturday, July 8th be approved.
You can do the end of the fortune.
And further that the CEO provide the necessary community event letter for the purpose of obtaining the necessary liquor license for the July 7th and 9th, 2023 event. Please move that. Councilor McGregor, seconder. Councilor McDonald, discussion. This is Palm Panel Panel. Right? Okay. All in favor?
Okay, back up. Mr. Chairman, just ask you one on that one. They will, they'll have their own bathrooms. They will not be coming in the office.
Porta patties.
Okay, no, perfect. I remember one time they used their town office for bathrooms and it was kind of got a little crazy. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Before we finish, Councilor Fisher, there had been some concern with respect to the need for a generator.
Well, they're still working on that because I don't think the request from the sound system, they want a 50 amp service. That's what's on a welding plug. And I think they might have meant 15 amp, but
What is it for?
Well, it's for their sound system.
No, they won't be fit.
They won't need 50. But,
It's just a normal generator.
yeah, so, but since my son is on the board, I'm going to get him to clarify this. And we did look at the generator that's at the fire hall the other day, and it's got 15 amp plugs. So, but I just can't believe he needs a 50 amp service. Because then we looked at possibly going to the back of the building here and cutting into your air conditioning line or whatever. And then we opening up a can of worms, and it's just, and then you gotta buy the cable to get the power out to the street, and it's just nuts. So this guy is unrealistic as far as I'm concerned. If he needs a 50 amp,
Just need some clarification.
yeah. So I'm working behind the scenes to try to coddle the young people forward that are running this, and you don't need a 50 amp service.
Talked to Pernell, was that what they used last weekend, because they had great big speakers in the lounge there that were as high as the refrigerator. So he's know what you need for power.
Right.
Okay. Be it resolved that a grader be provided if equipment and staff or member of a council is available with no cost to the municipality for the Wawanesa Lions Club Touch a Truck event being held in conjunction with the Country Fair at the Wawanesa Recreation Center on August 19, 2023. Whereby a copy of the Wawanesa Lions Club insurance shall be provided to the municipal office in advance of the event. Please move that. Councilor Jones, seconder. Councilor McDonald, discussion.
I'm gonna be on the ground all day. So I'm just letting you know that. So if we have a management or personnel problem, that I'm gonna be there all day.
I volunteers too.
Good, yours. Because I'm running other things that day, so.
All in favor? Okay, be it resolved that the January 1st to March 31st, 2023 RCMP police report as previously distributed be received. Can you please move that? Councilor Jones, seconder. Councilor Fisher, discussion. All in favor? Okay, this is added to the agenda. Be it resolved that the request dated June 13, 2023 from Synergy Land Services Limited, OBO Enbridge Pipelines Incorporated for preventative maintenance work on Southeast 32-718 West in accordance with the existing blanket access agreement be approved. Please move that. All seconder. Councilor Jones, discussion. All in favor? Okay, be it resolved in accordance with the policy trans 008, the application of Paul Reed Jansen, Spud Plains Farms Limited, the construction approach on Road 47 North located on part of the Southeast Border 36H17 WPN be approved. Can you please move that? Councilor Hatch, seconder. Councilor Fisher, discussion. No problems as far as public works is concerned?
No.
All in favor? Be it resolved that the proposed fiber path for the north side of First Avenue Carroll, Manitoba path addition as outlined in the map attached to correspondence dated June 14th, 2023. Now be approved subject to the fiber offset being 1 meter from the property line to allow for any further installation of culverts. Future installation of culverts. With that, second, please move that. Councilor McDonald, second for Councilor Fisher. I mean, Jones,
Again.
Excuse me.
We look alike.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're both too tall. There's somebody please move that?
I've got more.
You're gonna move second, okay. That's right. There you go. Discussion? All in favor? Be it resolved that a set of carbide clarifying blades be purchased for the grader and the approximate cost of $5,000, whereby funds shall be expended from the other transportation account from the additional municipal operating grant allocation. Can you please move that? Councilor Jones, seconder. Fisher, discussion. Councilor Donald.
Mr. Chairman, I guess through Chelsea, do we not have a set of these?
We have, square
Yeah, ice blades.
Yeah.
No, I've had lots of do with these and are great things, especially in the dry weather to cut washboard out,
Yeah.
whatever, but there's a little maintenance work that you have to do with them and, because they have to turn.
Okay.
And you have to keep them lubricated, and when you're done for the year, you really need to lubricate them well and put them away. You don't just take them off and throw them outside in the corner. It's, and the blades are, it's a good idea to order a pail of replacement, order them. And then you change it. If they have to turn, and if they don't turn, they'll wear the carbide out flat. So, and you do not want to use them all the time.
No, this would be, occasion, just cut out those washboards.
Yep, no, they work good. They're just a bit of a pain to put on and off, but anyway, just the maintenance after is a huge factor from experience.
Further?
Mr. Chairman. So we would get one set and we would move it between graders? Is that what you're thinking, or?
Once it's on, that grader would go do the shovel spots.
Okay.
I wouldn't waste another half day putting it on the other one. Or they could work together if we want, the one with hackers to put it on, or just depends on how well the plant would work. Just one grader, not two sets.
Yeah.
Just to see how well it's working.
And it works good for, sorry, just so you know, that cut off washboard, plus if you drag a road that's really, when we get real dry weather, you can drag it and it'll bring actually the stone up. So, that's the idea of them.
Well, if they're that good, or one.
Oh, and there was-
I don't think you want to.
There's
personally.
also a benefit to doing calcium magnesium spots with them. Almost rejuvenates them. So if we had large areas that were covered, we could rejuvenate it.
And it works good on ice. It works on ice. But just be careful with me, so you say you're putting them away storm. Anyway, I know it's weird.
Mr. Chairman, sorry, hopefully it's okay to take a little bit of liberty here, but I just wanted to let Chelsea know that we really like the updates on a weekly basis, so please keep doing those. And I wondered if you could start including for us the map showing the number of miles that have been covered that week with
Okay,
what's the text to car system.
okay.
That
Is it
Something-
online?
I would need to be reminded how to access it
that's
if I have
fine.
access to it.
Yeah,
so
I
that's-
can give you guys all updates on how to access that. It would be a lot easier if you wanted to see if you could just check it.
Okay.
Or, I could map it. By the time I mapped it, there's another 10 miles and being,
Yeah, send access information would be better.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no problem.
I had one more question. Chelsea, did we not, or Bob, did we not have a set of bullet things for a grader at one point already?
Actually, I thought we did,
Great.
but I
I think it was talked about. I don't think it ever happened, from what I've heard.
Because I remember Darcy talking. about
Yeah,
it.
that-
Yeah, I just would hope they're not sitting somewhere.
In the long grass?
Yeah, or in the shed in the corner. I mean, that's
No, they're not.
quite often where you find them, or under a bench.
We don't,
And some operators hate to use them because they're hard to put on and off.
no, they're all very excited.
Yeah.
To get something, yeah.
That's what I like, employees that are excited. So
Me too.
Anything else? All in favor?
And now we would have the Prairie Lakes culvert.
So,
I don't know where council wants to go with it.
well, you want to put a resolution for this, that we proceed with 50% payment of the, and let them vote on it?
Sure.
Yeah, just so everyone's aware that culvert's fairly expensive.
Is this a
I think it's
DFO
five.
claim or no?
DFA.
They're gonna try, is what the counselors told me.
It's like a 5-foot culvert.
Yeah, but they'll be doing the work themselves. We're just
Yeah,
paying half
it's
of
just
that
half of the
cost.
culvert cost.
We're putting forward that anyway, and then of course, if they have a DFA claim, then we'll take off of that too. Depends on our deductible and everything else there too.
And I think a case like that is making sure that the ends are cleaned out in the fall when there's beavers in there, like, that might have been part of the problem.
Absolutely it was.
So, but I think that should be something that shared with them, right? Because they do have a tractor and a trailer, you know, hauling around.
What road is this on?
It's on 36 North.
Okay, so then the resolution that I've got is be it resolved that the municipality provide 50% of the culvert replacement cost on the boundary road with Prairie Lakes on Road 36 North.
Councilor Jones, seconders, Councilor Fisher,
Questions?
yes, question?
The way it's worded, are we paying for half of the, putting it into, or just the culvert?
Just the culvert.
I was going to say, the way I have it worded is just the culvert,
Okay.
because I'm anticipating that they are doing the work, but
Okay.
I could change it and put culvert installation or culvert cost and installation.
No,
if that's
just
what
put
counts.
culvert.
Did you say we had agreement with that, Ms. Scott?
Yeah, I don't know how we're gonna wait. Why would we want to?
Well, they have the equipment.
Yes, but it's not being put in by private contractors, being put in.
I don't know that yet, but that's a conversation I can have with them today. You know, if you guys are willing to cover the installation, whether it's contractor or yourselves, we'll pay for half the culvert. Better than nothing, right? So.
That's. Well, we'll have to start with that.
Okay.
Something else can develop, we can just deal with it at that time. Councilor Barry?
Mr. Chairman, do we have an indication of cost, like?
I would think one of those culverts are close to 10 grand.
Okay.
Yeah, so looking at about 5.
And
I'll phone myself and find out, just so we have an idea, that we're not just going off what they're saying.
is this how we typically deal with boundary roads? Like, I understand that we typically decide who's gonna grade them and who's gonna plow them, but when a project like this comes up, is this what we typically do?
We had, on the boundary with Cornwallis, I believe it was, I got a call late. I went and closed the road after hours and they went and fixed it. But I don't think it was a full replacement. I think they just had to reset it and create it, so.
What did we do with Lake Cometti Road West last year to do with those pipes? Who paid for the pipes?
That would have been Cornwall.
That was Cornwall.
Because they were.
And that's County Road too.
Little different, so.
Because they enacted the emergency measures, right? So.
No. Well,
But
they
that part,
maintain the road. But it's still between us and them, right? It's half and half.
Yeah, we did not pay for any of the piping that they did up there. And again, whether that was a bit of a different situation because of the declaration of state of emergency, or whether Cornwallis was doing it regardless for the resident who resides on their side of the municipality versus residents on the Oakland-Wawanesa side. In the time that I've been here, I'm not sure that we've had any boundary road purchase costs that we've had to deal with.
I don't recall it either.
yeah,
So, sorry, Mr. Chair. I'm just wondering if we should consider a follow-up motion giving direction to administration to get formal agreements in place. I understand there's two parties and you need the other party to participate, but we've got what?
On all our boundary roads, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you too.
Yeah,
So everybody
it's
knows where to
certainly
stand.
on my radar of something that needs to happen.
so we'll deal with this resolution first and do that as a separate resolution.
Certainly.
All in favor of this 50%? Be it resolved, administration be directed to commence a formal process for boundary road agreements on all boundary roads. I wish to do that. Jones, second, Council McDonald. Discussion. All in favor?
And the only thing I would say with that is that it would be beneficial if we could get all parties in so that the same agreement is in place with all the municipalities and not do them piecemeal.
Great. Okay, be it resolved that this regular meeting now adjourns to an in-camera meeting to discuss a financial matter as per subsection 152(3)(b)(3) of the Municipal Act, and all matters discussed in camera are confidential until discussed in an open meeting as per section 83(1)(d) of the Municipal Act. Can we please move that? Councilor Hess, second, Councilor Jones. All in favor?
More of a discussion.
Thanks. Back in. Okay, be resolved that this in-camera meeting does now resume back to a regular meeting. So please move that. Jones, seconded. Councilor Hatch. All in favor? So, yeah, be resolved that the risk management for be it resolved that for risk management reasons, signage instead of fencing be installed at the scenic outlook area. So please move that. Councilor Fisher, seconder. All in favor? Carries. Okay. Be it resolved that this meeting is now adjourned to meet again on Friday, July 21st, 2023 at 9 a.m. at the municipal office. So I'll leave. Please move that. Councilor Hatch, seconder, Councilor Jones. All in favor?
I'm gonna give this to Chelsea. That's the ones that you get.